surprising how quickly this is all happening. I thought I would mostly spend my career warning people about the dangers of future climate change, but it's happening so quickly. I'm actually witnessing it and probably will spend half my career studying it.
So what kind of changes are we seeing happening in the oceans?
So we're seeing first very simple changes. Animals simply dying when the water gets too hot. So corals and many other animals have very specific thermal thresholds, so they can only tolerate temperatures either too warm or too cold to a certain degree. And so, for example, if summertime water temperatures get about a degree Celsius or a little bit more warmer than as usual, that can kill corals. And then, of course, once the corals die, the rest of the reef really degrades because so many fish and invertebrates depend on the corals. But I think the really interesting thing from our review article was how many other more fundamental, but in a lot of ways less visible changes are occurring as a result of climate change generally and ocean warming in particular. So it's not as simple as warming happens, animal dies. So that's pretty simple, and that's, I think, what scientists have been looking for and what the public probably expects. But there's far more fundamental changes, for example, in processes. So we know from experimental evidence that things like larval development and metabolism are very sensitive to temperature. It's a very difficult thing to actually measure in the field. But there are some related phenomena from this broader field of science called the metabolic theory of ecology that we are seeing. So, for example, plankton in the North Atlantic are getting smaller, and that's exactly what the metabolic theory of ecology predicts. The warmer the temperature, the smaller the organisms. So we're seeing both phytoplankton, the small plants, and zooplankton, the animals that eat them, getting smaller and smaller. And part of that is selection for smaller individuals within a species, and part of that's the replacement of larger-bodied species by smaller-bodied species.
And we're talking phytoplankton, we're talking changes there are going to ripple all the way through the ecosystems.
That's right. And so those changes might sound not so profound. Okay, so phytoplankton gets smaller. But here's two really big implications. One is that it reduces the efficiency of what's called the carbon pump. And that is the rate at which the ocean ecosystem in the middle of the ocean extracts carbon dioxide and essentially moves it down into the deep water. And that happens when phytoplankton die. They sink down to the bottom, and then that carbon in their bodies effectively gets stored for a long time. And that's a really useful thing for us right now because it's mitigating some of the carbon dioxide that we're putting into the atmosphere.